Okay, here's what's going to happen in the next year. You're going to hear nothing but impeachment, 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 and you're going to be bored by it. But it's going to be on the TV all day long, and you're going to kind of pay attention to it. You're going to listen because they're going to constantly expose dirt on Donald Trump. It has nothing to do with collusion with the Russians. And actually, the Mueller report debunked everything that the Democrats have accused Donald Trump of, except they do the debunking in little footnotes at the end. For example, they'll mention that Papadopoulos met with these people and did this and did that and the other, and a little footnote at the end of that part of the report will say, however, there's no evidence that Papadopoulos shared his information with the campaign. And then they'll go into Michael Cohen lied to Congress about when the Moscow Trump Tower project actually was completed. And oh, it's atrocious. It's atrocious. It's horrible. Our hair is on fire. Our hair is on fire because of what Donald Trump did and what Michael Cohen did. Oh, it's just outrageous, outrageous. A little footnote will say at the end, however, there's no evidence that suggests that the president directed Cohen to lie. Again and again and again, Trump Tower meeting, blah, blah, blah. So bad. Russians everywhere, Russians everywhere, Russians in the closet, Russians under the bed. Everybody was Russians. Donald Trump Jr. met with Russians. And then, but you read a little footnote at the end that says, there's no connection between this meeting and the Russian intelligence, the GRU. Nowhere in the report does it mention Fusion GPS at all? Does it mention dossier at all? Is the word dossier in the report? I understand that Michael Steele, Christopher Steele, is Christopher Steele, the British ex spy, is mentioned in passing. But actually, the whole story most of the story revolves around him. All right, but we're going to continue to be bombarded with Russiagate, collusion, Russia, impeachment, impeachment. And why? That's the question. Why? It is like the traditional cowboy movie where the bad man wants to rob the bank, and so he sets the barn on fire across the street from the bank so that everybody rushes to put out the fire. Everybody's focused on that barn. You got to save the horses, got to put out the fire, bring more water, make a bucket brigade, bring water, more water, pump water out of the well and fill the buckets. And you make a line and let's pass the buckets of water, but it's futile. We're not going to be able to put out the barn fire, but we got to do what we can while the bank robber who set the fire slips into the bank unnoticed, unobserved, robs the bank, and casually walks out of the bank with bags of money. Of course, that's a fiction story, but it illustrates how you create a distraction. I used to do it myself on my job. There was a certain tool that I needed, a certain replacement accessory to my tool, but it cost the boss like $20 every time I took one off the shelf out of storage to use. And so it was kind of an ongoing joke. Whenever I got one of these little accessories, I pretended to hide it behind my back, and I said, "Oh, look how those trees are growing over there. Oh man, they're getting so tall." And he didn't turn around and look at the trees, of course, because he knew that I'm pulling a stunt, and he knows I'm getting another one of those accessories that cost him $20. Okay, well, it's a distraction. When you want to do something behind your back, you distract everybody. Look over there, and that's what this collusion thing is all about. The Democrats know that there's no collusion. The Democrats know that they have no basis for an impeachment proceeding. They know it's all a show. They know it's a show. They're putting on a show, and they're good at this. This is, if you're a politician, that's what you're good at: putting on a circus for people to see, putting on a show. And it is to distract us from the millions of illegals from Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico pouring across the border because they're lured here by the Democrats with freebies. And it is Congress that makes the laws that say if you step across the border and say, I'm a political refugee seeking asylum. Well, the law says you can't retain them forever. You can't deport them. You must release them in such a way as they can report to the judge that will hear their case to see if asylum is warranted in that particular case. These people all come across the border and get released into the United States and never go back. And I'm not blaming the Latinos. You know, it is just like saying if the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes man is at your door ringing your doorbell, go answer the door. Well, most people would jump up and go run to the door and answer the door. You get that huge $10 million check, a $50 million check, and I would too. So I'm not blaming the Latinos; they are being used, and this RussiaGate stuff is the distraction. It is the barn on fire so that Nancy Pelosi and company can get all these voters into this country, give them citizenship. You can't deport them. You can't deport thousands and thousands of people. That's not humane. We got to let them stay. Except maybe we can deport a few bad guys who will come right back across the border, and we'll catch them eventually and deport them back across the border, and they come right back across the border. It's the Democrats that created this situation. It's the Democrats that allow the situation to continue, and it is by design. And these people, by the way, are not even the original Native Americans. I'm a Native American. I was born here. But I'm not the original Native Americans. There were people here before me. There were people here in a similar fashion before the Latinos from two different directions over many, many thousands of years. Many different types of people have come to North America on foot across the ice shelf, in boats. They came across the Pacific in boats. They came all the way possibly from Australia in a boat or a raft or whatever. They're all different kinds of people. They probably came into this continent before the Younger Dryas. Those original Native Americans were largely wiped out by a catastrophic event. And that is the point of this series of videos. And that's why it's called Ghost Population. Thanks for watching.